Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, last summer, Martin County kicked off a restoration project, cleaning up a historic building to bring new life to the Inez community. As WYMT's Buddy Forbes shows us, that plan is now a few steps closer to becoming reality.
A project that began last summer is still underway as groups in Martin County work to reclaim and restore the historic Martin County Courthouse, working this week on the old jail. Appalachia Reach Out is spending the week at the old Martin County Jailhouse, working with a group of volunteers from Nampa, Idaho's Northwest Nazarene University. The group is hitting the former lockup, working to get it ready for restoration by clearing the papers, furniture, and clutter that has collected over the years.
Working with the Sheriff's Office and the county government and Tourism Board to make sure that any files that are very precious to the history and to Martin County, those are saved and preserved, but also clean this space out so we can continue to reimagine what this might look like in the future.
Those involved say it is great to be part of a project like this that uses a town's history to really build toward its future, saying when you highlight stories and buildings like this, it's a great way to sell the region. In Martin County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Oh, that Buddy's a creative writer. The group will continue to work into next week, spending time in the community as they help move it toward its next chapter. Mountain Comprehensive Care Center's Sexual Assault Survivor Healing Program accepted a gift from students with the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine on Thursday. The $1,000 gift comes from an on-campus fundraiser. Organizers tell us the amount of money raised came as a surprise and that they were fortunate to find the healing program as a recipient. Second-year med student Michaela Mack says it's a blessing to contribute to this cause.
When you get in school, you get super stressed, but you take a step back and do something like this, and it just makes everything worth it for sure.
The healing program director, Heather Green, tells us that the money will help their mission in providing specialized services for survivors of sexual assault. Some late sports news coming in this afternoon. There will be no Triple Crown winner this year. The Kentucky Derby winning horse Rich Strike will not race in this year's Preakness Stakes. Owner Rick Dawson says that he wants to give his horse more recovery time and rest. Dawson says he does plan on running Rich Strike in the Belmont Stakes on June 11th. Well, we wanted to give you a quick reminder that early voting in this year's primary election in Kentucky kicked off today. You do not have to have an excuse to vote in person today, tomorrow, or Saturday. The primary is May 17th. You can check out a sample ballot ahead of time at govoteky.com.
And it's a gorgeous day to go out and vote early. Make sure you've done your civic duty because it's actually fantastic weather-wise outside yet again. I know this is about the 5th day in a row we've said the same exact thing, but what can I say? The forecast has been very similar and very quiet. I-75 at Mount Vernon. A few high clouds trying to sneak into the Cumberland Valley at this hour, but nothing in terms of any kind of rainfall we'd have to worry about. A few more fair weather clouds popping up over Wise this afternoon from our camera at UVA. Wise sitting at 72, a usual cool spot there. Some of our warmer spots warming up again. It's already 84 Manchester and Somerset, 85 in Monticello, and it's 87 in Williamson this afternoon. Most of the rest of us into the low 80s at this hour. Either way, still feeling pretty nice. Around the region, not a cloud in sight. Well, except for some of our folks down in Southwest Virginia, where we've got a few of those starting to develop. We have to keep an eye on that system out to the west. You may be or out to the east, I should say. You may be familiar with it. That was the low pressure from late last week. And that could have another influence on our weather as we head a little bit later on into the week. Now, keep that WYMT weather app handy because you open it up, you scroll through the forecast, and you see it's all quiet again tonight. We fall through the 60s. It's going to be a great evening outdoors. You fall through the 60s and eventually to around 60 into the upper 50s as we head into our Friday morning. Now, I've got the latest on when those showers and storms look to return coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. The attorney for the man charged in a high-profile murder case says he is planning to plead guilty to his charges. Shannon Gilday is accused of killing Jordan Morgan after breaking into her father's Madison County home in February. Today, his attorney told the judge he wants to plead guilty but mentally ill. A change of plea hearing was set for Monday. Gilday is facing other charges in a separate case where he's accused of assaulting a corrections officer. We'll have more on what comes next at 6 o'clock. Today, Americans are confronting a number that once seemed inconceivable. The White House says 1 million people have died from COVID-19 in the United States. President Biden called it a tragic milestone and called for further action to stop the pandemic. CBS's Natalie Brand has the latest.
The White House flag flies at half-staff, marking a once unthinkable milestone. 1 million lives lost to COVID-19 in the U.S.
1 million empty chairs around the family dinner table.
Alexa Rivera's mother was one of those who died after contracting COVID.
We were unable to offer her comfort and let her know that she wasn't alone in this world.
Critical care doctor Joseph Varone has been on the front lines of the pandemic since the beginning.
I can tell you that the number of deaths that we would have been much more smaller if people just listen and did the right thing, if they had a little bit of common sense.
In recorded remarks to a virtual global COVID summit, President Biden announced the U.S. is sharing vaccine science that could help increase global production.
We're making available health technologies that are owned by the United States government.
Ahead of an expected COVID surge this fall or winter, President Biden is urging Congress to approve billions more dollars in coronavirus funding for testing, vaccines, and treatments. That funding has been caught up in a political fight over immigration policy, with Republican lawmakers pushing to extend the Trump-era health rule preventing migrants from seeking asylum during the pandemic. In the meantime, COVID infections are ticking higher.
What we're hoping for is that when the level comes down, it stays in a well-controlled level.
But world leaders say a well-controlled level will require expanding vaccines, tests, and treatments globally. A reminder at this tragic milestone that the pandemic is not yet over. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The president also announced at today's Global COVID Summit that the U.S. is launching a pilot program to help expand rapid testing and antiviral treatments in harder-to-reach areas around the world. During the course of 1 year, roughly 25% of Medicare patients suffered either temporary or permanent harm while in the hospital. The report from the Department of Health and Human Services goes on to say 12% of patients experienced adverse events that led to, in some cases, death. Another 13% had issues that could have resulted in more serious threats and hospital staffers not taken action. The findings are based on the medical records of 770 Medicare patients in 629 hospitals from the year 2018. It's National Nurses Week, and today hundreds of them marched in Washington, D.C., calling for fair wages without salary caps, an end to violence and discrimination against healthcare workers, and safe nurse-to-patient ratio staffing, issues they say the pandemic made even worse as it accelerated an already growing nursing shortage in the U.S. at a time when their care was needed the most, as reports of burnout continued to climb.
As hospitals get pinched more and more, I feel like more care tasks get pushed onto nurses because we're just the ones at the bedside. The more workload you put on that, the fewer time we can devote to the things that really help keep patients safe.
We'll have a look at what some other Kentucky nurses have to say at a march happening here in the Commonwealth in our next half hour. Let's head over to Wall Street on this Thursday. The Dow closes down today more than 104 points. And on a larger scale, investors are seeing major losses on Wall Street. Blue chip stocks in the S&P 500 lost more than $7 trillion in market value in 2022, dropping more than 18% since December, while the Dow has fallen 13% and the NASDAQ is down 28%, sparking concerns about a possible recession. Researchers at Bespoke Investment Group say the NASDAQ plummeted more than 20% during just the past 30 days. That's only happened 11 times previously, and they say 9 of those times were linked to recessions. When we return on First at 4, why one of the largest sources of water in the southwestern U.S. is at risk of disappearing.
And a few showers and storms will be possible by this time tomorrow. The latest timing and temperatures on the way on the flip side.
People often ask me, how much do I have to pay you up front to be my lawyer? The answer is nothing. It's free unless we win.